great man has done it.
We're interrupting this program to bring you some breaking news. The American heavyweight boxing legend Muhammad Ali has died at the age of 74 at a hospital in Phoenix in Arizona.
Today, as we mark, note, mourn and celebrate a man who has so come to reflect, depict, and I think provide the very essence of what the Youth Charter has been about, and certainly from a personal standpoint, as a young teenager who sought inspiration from strong men that looked like me on the basis of not losing my father at a young age, and was looking for motivation and inspiration that would give me a sense of purpose, a sense of pride, and lift me out of the mindset that I could be the best that I could be. Muhammad Ali, then aka Cassius Clay, was already demonstrating such extraordinary abilities within his winning of that world heavyweight title in the 60s. So as I came to my teenage years of the 70s, and on the basis of me finding through a combat sport, karate, that discipline and that curriculum for life, but above all that inspiration that what he was doing in the ring as well as out of the ring, and transcending sport to the issues of the day that at time were of great racial polarization, where civil and social society globally were tackling or meeting great challenge on how we live in peace, tolerance and understanding. And I remember then watching Rumble in the Jungle with Foreman and Muhammad Ali in the African continent, and him in particular already having taken on the American government on an issue that was for him the right thing to do, reflecting his beliefs that he would not go to war with someone outside of the ring whilst they were making no war on him. Those 3 years of his best years as world heavyweight champion, but as the people's champion, would see him lose extraordinary large amounts of money. But the money was not the value. The value was what he would do in going to those universities and those communities where he would inspire people, irrespective of what you looked like, where you came from, what you believed in, and what you sounded like.
Really putting the stare on each other. George Foreman has that serious look. Ali definitely talking to him.
By the 70s, I decided that I would be that world champion and take an Ali-esque approach to what I would do, and reflect 23 years ago when I started the Youth Charter. When people always say to me, why am I still doing what I'm doing? I think to have had the extraordinary journey from boyhood of seeing Ali in the 60s to teenagehood in the 70s, where I was as a young man to find my focus and my inspirational, I think, ambition. And I want to pay tribute equally to Bruce Lee and Arthur Ashe, because it was a tripartite of inspirational characters. And Arthur Ashe, again, with Muhammad Ali receiving the Arthur Ashe Humanitarian Award, I think encompasses true global sporting icons who transcended and believed that sport was something more than the winning. It was about the education, it was about the health, it was about the lifestyles and ambitions that would see social and civil order in our lives and in our communities and in our global society, that would see communities become cohesive with all the challenges we were facing, so we had hope. And if that hope equipped, engaged and empowered young people so they could aspire to further and higher education, they could aspire to be employable, they could be motivated to be entrepreneurs. That had to be a win-win-win for everybody. And that's why the incredible journey and relationship with Muhammad Ali, which saw me meet him in 1990 in Seattle with the Goodwill Games, to encounter that Ali spirituality at a time where his powers were diminished, but his spirit was extraordinary. And it was a spiritual experience. And I came away from that experience even more equipped and confirmed in the journey I would make. By the time the 90s had turned into the 1993 moment where the 14-year-old schoolboy Benji Stanley was gunned down on the streets of Moss Side, at a time when Manchester were aiming to bring the 2000 Olympics to Manchester in Britain. Muhammad Ali would have already had an extraordinary relationship with this country, but above all, and little known to many, would make so many visits to the UK. He would engage people. He would tell them his truth to their truth, or fears or insecurities as to what he represented becoming something that should be feared in what I would represent. That journey that would see the Youth Charter launched to provide young people with an opportunity to develop in life was Ali-esque and quintessentially influenced by his example that he had taken as a global ambassador and an ambassador for peace. In that, it saw an opportunity in 2003, the 10th anniversary of the Youth Charter, where we, 3 years into becoming a United Nations NGO, would go to New York and present our work. One of those attendees of that workshop was Stacey Bailey Nye, and she went to work for the Muhammad Ali Institute, which is based at the University of Louisville, and worked very closely with the Muhammad Ali Center to promote the Ali values, his core principles, the conviction behind the man, and what he truly represented. As a result, I was invited, 2006 would see the Ali Scholars, again, university students, global future leaders and leaderines, demonstrating what they could do with their potential for their communities. We hosted them in 2006 here in the Northwest, and it was an amazing success. And I took them to Moss Side and the Moss Side Millennium Powerhouse to try and give and lift the spirit of communities and young people who were still without hope, still in conflict with one another, because life chances had been limited. That would see me given the greatest honour in 2007 of being invited to Louisville, Kentucky, as a week of Ali in Focus, which was a week dedicated to the life and times of Muhammad Ali, and I was the invited world changer in residence. It was an extraordinary experience where I was exposed to the Ali Institute, Muhammad Ali Center, the community, and the sportsmen and women that I would present to. I then knew I was on a journey. By 2008, it would see me go back to the Muhammad Ali Center and advise on how we could turn the global Ali presence and influence into a global program of opportunity and hope. By 2009, Muhammad Ali came to this country, very much inspired by that work, but it didn't have the impact we would have hoped, because as always is the case, the celebritization of the man did not truly reveal the essence of the man. He came to Manchester, not to Moss Side. He went elsewhere, but that's the past. But again, it motivated the then ongoing relationship with the Youth Charter, Muhammad Ali Centre and Institute, that we would strive by then, with London hosting the 2012 Games, to bring the greatest Olympian to the capital. That happened, but prior to that in 2010, a second Muhammad Ali Scholars tour was hosted, and this time they toured the country, and they talked to young people in communities, in Liverpool, in Leeds, in London, and we hosted a legacy conference at Roehampton University about the challenges and opportunities of global citizenship and the rights and responsibilities of that citizenship, what the challenges were, what the opportunities should be and must be, and those recommendations, and the inspiration of that Ali Scholars Tour actually brought about, I think, the focus that we needed, because a year later, the riots in this country, the year before the Games, saw those recommendations from that conference inform our legacy report. As many people remember, in the opening ceremony of those London Games, it was the last time we were to see Muhammad Ali, and with his wife Lonnie Ali, an image was presented that I felt was not a true reflection of the man. In '96 in Atlanta, I remember shedding a tear of pride as he took that torch up those stairs and lit that flame. With all the physically debilitating impact of his Parkinson's, he projected such a wonderful, memorable, I think, just feel, because it was the right feel, with all the challenges at the time. But for 2012, that was not the image I felt that was right, or proper, or fair to him. Further dialogue and interactions with the centre saw Donald Lazaire, the president and CEO, begin a relationship that renewed and gave new momentum and impetus, because he completely bought in to the essence of Ali. And we sought about looking at what the legacy of Ali would be on the basis of the ongoing work that we were developing together. To that, Donald Lazaire came to this country on many occasions quietly, reflecting the Youth Charter philosophy, visibly invisible, just doing the right thing for the right reasons. So it's a bittersweet feeling on an amazingly reflective, remorseful, but at the same time thankful, I think, recognition that our greatest Olympian, our greatest sporting humanitarian, our greatest sporting philanthropist, our greatest sporting example of what a Youth Charter ambassador should be and must be, in how they can inspire young people, inspire communities, and inspire society. Because as and on this day, where we say goodbye, our communities, our societies, and our global community is still struggling on how we respect, have confidence, trust, and build on that trust a more just, fair, and I think diversely, just real world where everybody, irrespective of what you look like, where you come from, what you believe in, and what you sound like, can mutually coexist. Muhammad Ali's greatest achievement will be today, where in Louisville, people from all faiths, all backgrounds, all identities, and intergenerationally will pay tribute to him for his life and for all the lives that he inspired through the example of his core principles, the conviction, the dedication, the spirituality, the selflessness, and above all, how you stand strong whenever challenged because of what you believe in and the conviction of your beliefs and what you will have to encounter as a result of those beliefs. I have lived the Ali journey. I am as a result, by God's grace, of his powerful message of adversity realized by overcoming every fight that would ever be presented. Every single fight did not end up in a defeat. It was simply a loss. Ali demonstrated he was never defeated. He only ever lost. For those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, let them hear. My message to Ambassador Shabazz, the eldest daughter of the late Malcolm X, who with Muhammad developed a strong relationship, whereby Muhammad was to be aware that his God-given talents were something to be used for more than himself. The fact that she is paying the tribute today as part of the celebration of Ali's life could not give me a greater feeling that everything has been worth the struggle and the fight, that we will continue to fight the good fight for and on behalf of the youth who are the future of this global community. The legacy is going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an inspirational one. It's going to be everything it needs to be and must be. And it will characterize the Youth Charter's ongoing efforts and my rededicated effort, that whether it be the Ali Humanitarian Awards, the Float Like a Butterfly program, the Ali Cup, or the Ali Scholars, there is an extraordinary legacy that will transcend another generation and future generations. When we talk about sport for development for peace, Ali. When we talk about sportsmen and women who must take up a responsibility of something more than themselves, as an example, Ali. When people talk about it is wrong to have a belief and follow that conviction of belief, Ali. He was a warrior, he was a poet, he was a man, he was a champion, he was a father, and I would like to pay a Youth Charter tribute to the Ali family, who we must remember, because they allowed him to give so much of himself to us at times where they were to experience a lot by way of his struggle and his such warrior stance for all the things that were right for this time, for then, and for the future. So rest well, Muhammad. You were loved.
What you still have in Africa, and you must keep that. They spoke very gently. And I thought, my Lord, on top of everything else, this man's a political leader. And he's going to be a great political leader.
Me, we. You cannot do it on your own. Take the motivation of all things negative and turn them into a positive. It's about hearts and minds. This is something that still inspires me, and it still tells me why it needs to be why it needs to be. And all I would say to you, in being the most patient, I always find athletes are more impatient than the young people I speak to. Remember, when you could be a king or a queen, you stand the rostrum and achieve great things.
In every heart, there is a drum that's steady and strong. It does not know defeat. I feel it pound and know the sound of true belief. In every soul, there is a memory of standing tall, the proudest we could be. I cannot fall, for I recall we were born in majesty. When one man climbs, the rest are lifted up. When every step we're closer, yeah, to a higher destiny.